What's going on, you guys? It's Rahul here, back again with another video, and today, well, you guys read the title. It's another top 10 video. You guys seem to like these top 10 videos, so I'm gonna be getting getting these videos out. Oh my god, I phrased that weirdly. Well, while it may not necessarily be like a complete top 10, I'm not ranking these guys. Well, these are just some of the most underrated players in the NFL. With all of that being said, make sure you guys do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys watch my content consistently or you're a fan of the NFL or NBA. Check out some of my other videos in the description below. Also, share this channel with anyone who you think might be a fan of the NFL or the NBA. With all of that being said, let's get started. My first player I'm going to talk about is Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones, if you ask me, is the most underrated player in the league. Now, while I'm not ranking these guys, I really do think he's the most underrated player in the league. He had 19 sacks and 8 forced fumbles in 2019. And his 19 sacks was half a sack away from tying Shaquille Barrett for the most sacks in the league. And his 8 forced fumbles, well, they led the league in that categories. Now, people don't think he's bad, and they do acknowledge that he's good, but people don't realize just how good he is. Many great players who are on the New England Patriots benefit from the New England system, and when they do leave that system, well, they just aren't the same players. However, for Chandler Jones, after leaving the Patriots, he actually got better because he had a much bigger role. And in his 17 to 18 season, he had an amazing year as he led the league in sacks with 17. He had 28 tackles for a loss, which also led the league in that category too. If you ask me, if it wasn't for Aaron Donald, if Aaron Donald and Khalil Mack were to retire today, I think Chandler Jones would be the best pass rusher in the league. He's a top 3 pass rusher, and he isn't too far off from guys like Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald. And some advanced stats that show just how good he is that he forced 15 quarterback hurries, 5 quarterback knockdowns, 40 quarterback pressures, and had a missed tackle rate of only 8.6%. He also has 96 career sacks and has been very consistent throughout his career. And that 96, well, maybe not that, but those 96 career stats, it's more than Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack, and it's the same as J.J. Watt. Yeah, it's the same as J.J. Watt, the DJJ Watt, the real one. Yeah, I think you guys know who I'm talking about. With all of that being said, I really hope that Chandler Jones in 2020, well, if there is a season because of the virus. YouTube, please don't demonetize me, please. Just don't demonetize me. With all of that being said, that's Chandler Jones for you guys. Next up, we got Austin Ekeler. Now, Austin Ekeler was very good in 2019, and when Melvin Gordon left the Chargers, if you ask me, Chargers fans, relax, don't worry, Austin Ekeler is great. In fact, Charger fans, I think, would know that. In 2019, he posted 557 rushing yards, 993 receiving yards. He had 3 rushing touchdowns and 8 receiving touchdowns, and he averaged 4 yards a carry and 11 yards a pass. Even though Melvin Gordon is a good player, Austin Ekeler is going to be a great replacement for him, and he's one of the best receiving backs in the league. He can really have a breakout year in 2020 if we do have a season, and he's great with screen passes and all. The point is, Austin Ekeler is underrated and he's pretty good, and I think he should be on the list for players that could break out. Next up, at number 3, we got Marcus Williams. Now, clown him all you want for allowing the Minneapolis Miracle. However, this guy's pretty good. The guy hasn't made a Pro Bowl in his young career so far. However, I think he can make a Pro Bowl next year if he can play well and improve his game. When people think of the Saints defense, they typically think of Cam Jordan and Marshawn Lattimore. However, Marcus Williams, he's a really good contributor on that end. In 2019, and when he played 15 games, which is pretty good, obviously, he had 4 interceptions and 13 passes defended. He's a great coverage safety, and I mean, he's just great. How else do I put it? He's, an amazing safety, and I think that he deserves to make the Pro Bowl next year if he can have a good year. At number 4, we got Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith is also a safety, and he was one of the few bright spots on a struggling Minnesota secondary, and he's one of the best coverage safeties, just in the league. How else do I put it? He had 3 interceptions and 11 passes defended, along with 3 forced fumbles. In 2017, he was even a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and he's going to be a good mentor for someone like Anthony Harrison. The guy, he's also been underrated for basically his entire career. And to see his stats, Well, here are some of his stats, his career stats. He has 23 interceptions, 658 tackles, and 56 passes defended. And those numbers, they're pretty similar to Troy Polamalu. Yeah, Troy Polamalu. The Hall of Fame safety. That's how good he has been, and he's been great for Minnesota for a long time. And he's been a really big fan favorite, and I think people need to recognize just how good he is. Now we move on to New Orleans' division rival, and that's the Atlanta Falcons, where we come here to discuss Grady Jarrett. Now, Grady Jarrett, he is definitely not better than Chandler Jones, but he's still good. He's not like the best one in the league, and he's already made a Pro Bowl this year. In 2019, he had 7.5 sacks, which is pretty solid, 2 forced fumbles, which is pretty good, 69 tackles, and he forced 16 QB. He had 16 QB hits, forced 26 pressures, 10 hurries, and had 10 knockdowns. Atlanta's defense, they obviously haven't been the same, since the Super Bowl when they blew a 25-point lead. Yeah, I'm really sorry, Atlanta fans. I just had to do it, Okay, I'll stop bullying Atlanta fans since we're here to talk about the most underrated players in the NFL. And Grady Jarrett has been just a bright spot on a pretty mediocre Atlanta defense, not offense. Yeah. With all of that being said, Atlanta needs to improve their defense, and I think Grady Jarrett is a guy they really need to keep. With all of that being said, let's move on to Russell Wilson's teammate. Well, we didn't mention Russell Wilson, so that was kind of useless. My God. With all that being said, well, we're here to talk about Will Dissly. Will Dissly has struggled to stay healthy in his career so far. He's only been in the league since the 18 to 19 season. However, this past season, he was great, but even though he only played 6 games, his season ended sadly due to an injury. However, in those 6 games, he caught 23 passes out of 27 receptions. He had 262 yards, 4 touchdowns, and averaged 11 yards a reception. Will is a great receiving tight end, and he's a really good weapon for Russell Wilson outside of guys like Rashad Penny, Chris Carson, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf. With all of that being said, if he can stay healthy, I think he can be a really good tight end in the future. Now we head to Detroit, who, as we all know, I'm very sorry, Detroit fans, they've been kind of a disaster. I mean, you can't help but feel bad for Lions fans. I don't like to bully Lions fans. With all of that being said, hey, they have a bright spot in Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay is great. He's 6'4" and has a 214 frame, which makes him really hard to guard. He's great at grabbing contested catches, and in 2019 he had 1,190 yards, 11 touchdowns, receiving touchdowns, which led the league in that category, caught 56% of his targets, and averaged 18 yards a pass. If Detroit can get themselves together, well, I think he can be great. And I think he can get the credit he finally deserves. Matthew Stafford, if he can stay healthy a majority of the season, and the defense plays well, and the coaches, they just don't screw things up, I think he can be good. And let's just hope that his talent doesn't get wasted like Calvin Johnson. So with all that being said, we now move to the Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, to talk about Frank Clark. Now, after the 18 to 19 season, it was clear Kansas City needed some defensive help. The offense was great, don't get me wrong, but the defense wasn't. It was not good in the 18 to 19 season. However, they made some good moves in the 2019 offseason. One of them was acquiring Frank Clark from the Seattle Seahawks. In 2019, although he only played 11 games, he had 8 sacks and 3 forced fumbles, along with 12 quarterback hurries, 7 knockdowns, and 27 pressures. If he could play like maybe 14 to even 16 games, then I think those stats really could have been better. However, even though he did struggle to stay, struggled to stay healthy, and his stats do seem a little bit lackluster, they're still great. He's still a good player, and he's been a great contributor to Kansas City, and they need to keep him as long as they can. And honestly, they can be good for a long time if they keep him for a while. With all that being said, we now move on to the Cincinnati Bengals to talk about Tyler Boyd. Now, the Bengals last year, as we all know, were the worst team in the league. However, like Kenny Golladay, that didn't stop Tyler Boyd from having a good year. He had 1,046 receiving yards, 5 receiving touchdowns, and averaged 12 yards a reception, and caught 60% of the passes that were targeted to him. He's going to be a great weapon for Joe Burrow to throw to. He only had 5 drops too. And even though he had some bad quarterback play under center, and okay, I phrased that weirdly, bro. I cannot speak. Even though he had poor quarterback play, just bad quarterbacks not throwing to him, and quarterbacks weren't that good, he was still pretty good. Even though Cincinnati was obviously a bad team last year, Tyler Boyd's going to be a bright spot, and he's going to be a great receiver for the Bengals. And he's going to be a great receiver in the NFL, really, for years to come. With all of that being said, for the final spot, we now head to Pittsburgh, Cincinnati's rival, talk about Joe Hayden. Now, Joe Hayden might be aging, and he may not be the same Cleveland Browns Joe Hayden. However, in 2019, he was great. He had 5 interceptions and had 17 passes defended. Yeah, he was that good. Now, honestly, I would say he was maybe he can be in the top 10 cornerbacks from this past season. Well, he definitely is, but I think he's just a great cornerback. He hasn't been targeted a lot due to his ability to really just guard receivers so well, and he quietly had a great year with Pittsburgh. Even though Pittsburgh, well, I do have to admit, has been a little bit of a boring team, I guess. No offense, Steelers fans. Well, he's still been great, and when people talk about the Steelers defense, they usually talk about TJ Watt or Minka Fitzpatrick. However, I think that Joe Hayden's going to be a great mentor to that Steelers defense, and he's a good veteran presence to that team. And if he can be a solid corner for a few more years and stay on Pittsburgh for a while, Pittsburgh really just needs to keep him. He's a good corner. How else do I put it? Joe Hayden, I think, needs to get some respect. I mean, the guy can have a positive impact on Pittsburgh. And with all that being said, that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys do like the video as always. Make sure you guys do subscribe if you're a fan of the NFL or NBA or the content I just make in general. Also, share this channel with anyone else who you think might like this type of content or is a fan of the NFL or NBA. We're trying to reach 100 subscribers so I can do a question and answer and you guys can get to know me more. And with all of that being said, well, I'm out.